whenever it is required, frequency response characteristics of the op amp, then it is necessary to use coupling capacitor at the inputs point of the op amp. Listen again. Whenever frequency response characteristics of the op amp is required, then one has to use the coupling capacitor at the input of the op amp. Actually, in most of the power amplifier, due to thermal drift and component tolerance, noise or small DC voltage is produced in most of the power amplifier. Due to component tolerance and thermal drift, the noise or small DC voltage produced at every stage. So, to stop the amplification of the such noise or small value of the DC level, blocking capacitor is required, and this blocking capacitor does not block only DC but also it put limit on a lower cutoff frequency of the amplifier circuit. So coupling capacitor what you are connecting at the input of the op amp to block the small DC voltage or noise level which is produced due to thermal drift and component tolerance. These blocking capacitor block the DC, but at the same time it put the limit on a lower 3 dB frequency of the amplifier. Now there are two types of the AC amplifier. First is inverting AC amplifier, second is non-inverting amplifier. So there are two types of the inverting amplifier, two types of the AC amplifier: inverting AC amplifier and second is non-inverting AC amplifier. Look, we are discussing first we are discussing inverting AC amplifier. Inverting AC amplifier. In inverting amplifier, I am showing the circuit here. This is your capacitor C, which is used to block the small DC level or voltage or noise, you can say. This is the inverting amplifier circuit we have used. This is output voltage with respect to ground. Now let us find the gain, so we will get some idea about what the effect of this coupling capacitor on a lower cutoff frequency. So this is the circuit diagram. This is a circuit diagram of a inverting AC amplifier. In this circuit diagram, this block the noise or small DC level coming from the previous stage if it is produced due to the thermal drift or temperature tolerance in some previous amplifier circuit. Now let us draw its equivalent circuit. You already know that due to infinite input impedance, the input terminal of the op amp does not draw any current. Due to infinite input impedance, the input terminal of the op amp does not draw any current. Current flowing inside is zero. Second, due to infinite open loop gain, due to infinite open loop gain of the op amp, voltage drop between these 2 points tends to 0. Between these 2 points, voltage drop tends to 0. Between these 2 points, voltage drop tends to 0. Okay. The 2 point is, I am telling you, first, due to infinite input impedance between these two terminals, this does not draw any current. Second, due to infinite open loop gain, the voltage drop between these two terminals tends to 0. This 2 point is summarized as a virtual ground, and the equivalent circuit of this AC amplifier, inverting AC amplifier, is shown in the figure, and in this figure the virtual ground is represented by double headed arrow. This is double headed arrow I am showing you, and this double headed arrow show the virtual ground. Here you have written output voltage VO, here you have written input voltage VI, and here current I am writing. So VO is, I am writing, it is minus IR dash. You know that input current is flowing through the also in output section. So I can write it is nothing but this current is flowing in input sections. I have written like this. So if I put this value, I am putting this value like this. So VO by VI is known as a gain. It is known as a gain minus R dash upon R plus XC. This I am writing gain at the low frequency. Reason is that I want to say this capacitance put the limit on a lower frequency response, put the limit on a lower, or it decide the lower cutoff frequency. So that's why I am writing LF here. Okay. Now, so this is nothing but the what? Minus R dash by R plus XC. So let me discuss in detail. So gain at low frequency is given by minus R dash by R 1 plus XC upon R minus R dash by R. You know that 1 minus J by omega C. Sorry, 1 upon XC is 1 upon J omega C into R. So this is the gain at low frequency I have written. So I can write gain at low frequency is nothing but this is the gain at mid frequency. Actually this is the gain at mid frequency. 1 minus J upon 2 pi F RC. So this omega I have written, omega is nothing but the 2 pi F. So this gain I am writing again. This is your gain at mid frequency actually. 1 minus J XC upon R. Already you know that, where XC I have written XC dash. Let me write the XC dash is 1 upon 2 pi. It is C XD upon, so 1 upon 2 pi FC. So if I take its magnitude, then I can write this value is nothing but the 1 plus XC dash by R whole square. Okay, and this is nothing but the gain at low frequency is nothing but the gain at mid frequency upon 1 plus Xc dash upon R whole square root. So gain at low frequency in modulus I am showing you, gain at mid frequency in modulus upon root of 1 plus Xc dash by R whole square. Now look here, when Xc dash is equal to R means 1 upon 2 by Fc, 1 upon 2 by Fc is equal to R. 1 upon 2 by Fc is equal to R. Then gain at low frequency is nothing but the 1 by root 2 times gain at the low frequency is nothing but the 1 by root 2 times the gain at mid frequency. Okay. With this gain I have written minus R dash by R, the gain you have written from this equation. This gain is what like this, you have written Vi upon this R plus Xc. So I put this value here. So this is your EV minus R. So you divide by numerator and denominator by R. Okay. So if you divide this, you are nothing but the gain at mid frequency. So Xc by R, what is Xc? 1 upon j omega c. What is 1 upon j omega? Minus j. You already know that. And 1 upon 2 by Fc, I have taken Xc dash. So this is the equation. And this is the gain at mid frequency. Then I have taken modulus. This is actually I have to write in a modulus. This is what modulus I have written. So I have to write, this is your, if you do want to write here modulus, so this is again modulus I have written in this way. When Xc dash is equal to R, then you can write gain at the low frequency is nothing but the gain at the low frequency is nothing but the 1, this is 1. Gain at the low frequency is nothing but the 1 by root 2 times the gain at the mid frequency. So frequency f is such that you have taken frequency f is such that Xc dash will be R. As a result, gain of the amplifier at low frequency is 1 by root 2 times the gain at the amplifier at mid frequency. Okay. So this f is called lower cutoff frequency. What it is called? F is called lower cutoff frequency. So I can write, therefore this f, I can say when Xc dash is equal to R, then f is the frequency which is known as a lower cutoff frequency. This is your lower cutoff frequency. In this way, this coupling capacitor, what you have connected C, that you have connected C at the input, that decide your frequency response, means you decide it's your lower cutoff frequency. Okay. So it block the noise or DC level, but it decide this. So this is the equation, and this is a discussion of a inverting AC amplifier. And just to complete, I am writing this equation, so you will get your understanding. So therefore, when there is a frequency at which this gain at the 1 by root 2 times the gain at the mid frequency, so therefore it is called lower cutoff frequency. Here I am showing the discussion of a inverting AC amplifier. Now let us discuss about the non-inverting AC amplifier. In non-inverting, only we have to see the circuit diagram. In non-inverting AC amplifier, you are giving the input voltage to the non-inverting terminal. This I am showing you non-inverting terminal. This is the input voltage Vi. This is resistor R2 you have kept to provide the DC return part, and here resistors R1 from the output you have taken another resistance, say R dash. This is a circuit diagram of a non-inverting AC amplifier. So look here, the resistor R2 provides the DC return part to the ground, and DC is what captures or noise is coming, so it will be grounded here. But due to this one limitation, this put the limit that due to this input impedance of the op-amp, input impedance of the circuit will be decreases. As you make this is ground, the input impedance, the circuit decreases. To eliminate this problem, if you want to eliminate this problem, this circuit is modified like as shown in figure. See, I am showing you modification of the non-inverting AC amplifier. This is a modified circuit. Here's resistor R2 between the feedback resistor R and this R2 path. We have connected one capacitor C dash as shown in figure. This you have connected. Let me show the sharp line here like this. Okay. So this is a circuit diagram of a non-inverting AC amplifier. Here the capacitor C dash is such that offers very low reactance to the signal at which the circuit is operated. As a result, this behaves as short circuited. So it as behaves as short circuited, this behaves a short circuited, then this potential and this potential will be same. This potential and this potential is same. Let me say this is A, and potential at A and N will be same. So it's approximately same. So current flow through the R2 is very less, or no, or in books it is written, some book it does not flow any current, the current does not flow through the R2. So circuit offer a very high input impedance. Look again, just I am telling you few lines again. This is a circuit diagram of the non-inverting AC amplifier. In this, the input is given to the non-inverting terminal, and this R2 provides DC return path to this circuit, and but due to this R2, this offer very low. Due to this R2, the input impedance of the circuit decreases. To eliminate this problem, one capacitor is connected as shown in figure. So this capacitor offer a very low reactance to the signal at which this circuit is operated. As a result, this potential and this potential is same. This potential and this potential is same. This potential and this potential is same. So this does not draw any current. So overall input resistance of the circuit will be increases. This is the discussion of the circuit of a non-inverting AC amplifier. In a previous section, we have derived the equation of the cutoff frequency also. In this, there is no only you have to understand the circuit. The circuit is known as a AC voltage follower. AC voltage follower. Voltage follower, already you know what is a voltage follower. Voltage follower has a most important property. Its input resistance is very large and output resistance is very less, and its output voltage follow the input voltage. I am showing you the voltage follower circuit using the op-amp. This is the circuit diagram of a voltage follower. You are giving input signal to the non-inverting terminal, and Here the boost tip capacitor is used in output section. This is a circuit diagram of a AC voltage follower. This is called bootstrap capacitor. Already we have discussed the bootstrapping principle. So this is a bootstrap capacitor, and this capacitor you have selected in such a way that that offer a very low reactance to the frequency at which this circuit is operated. So this behaves as a short circuit. As a result, this does not draw current. So the potential is saying here this does not draw the current, and it offers a very high input resistance. And already you know that according to Miller effect, the input resistance for such circuit is given by this equation. Okay. Generally this is what same value 100k. This is they have kept the same value, and if we are keeping the k is equal to 1, then input resistance of such circuit is given by this equation. And we know that ACL is always less than 1, you know this. For a voltage follower, ACL is slightly less than 1. This is just we are adding tends to 1, but actually it is 0.997 like so, ACL value of the ACL. So this is very less, 0.99 something, or you can say tends to 1. So Ri dash is very large, tends to infinite. As a result, I can say Ri dash is very large. So for such circuit diagram, its input resistance is very large, output resistance is very low. As a result, this is used as a impedance matching device. This is used as a buffer. To connect very high impedance signal source to the low impedance load, even though it is capacitive load. So remember this. This is used as a buffer to connect, this circuit is used as a buffer to connect high impedance signal source to the low impedance load, even though load is capacitive. To avoid the loss of the signals, this is used as a buffer. Okay. This is just information I want to give you about AC voltage follower. Now I am discussing the voltage to current converter and current to voltage converter circuit. So I am discussing voltage to current converter circuit. Voltage to current converter circuit. See, in many applications, one has to convert the voltage into proportional current. So such circuit is used, voltage to current converter circuit is used in AC or DC voltmeter, you can say. It is used in a Zener test circuit. In most of the power amplifier, generally last stage is voltage to current converter, because the power coming out from the speaker is proportional to the square of the current, and it depends upon the current. So amplified voltage should be converted into proportional current, and that current is passing to the speaker, and you can get a large sound, because the power depends upon the current. So in a most of the, you can say, power amplifier, last stage they are keeping a voltage to current converter. And in voltmeter, you know that deflection always depends upon the current. Voltmeter deflection depends voltmeter. Voltmeter deflection depends upon the current. So you can say here this circuit is voltage to current converter circuit is used in a AC/DC voltmeter Zener test circuit, or you can say in most of the power amplifier last stage is a voltage to current converter. Let us see circuit diagram. Yes, there are two type of voltage to current converter. First we have to discuss about voltage to current converter. Voltage to current converter with floating load and second with grounded load. So we are discussing first circuit, voltage to current converter with floating load. Then in next lecture we will discuss voltage to current converter with grounded load. So today we are discussing the voltage to current converter with a floating load. The circuit diagram of voltage to current converter is as shown in figure. This is your ZL. Your ZL is not grounded, you can see. So it is called voltage. Here it is called the floating load. What is called floating load? Here some voltage is developed at this point. This is your differential voltage, and this should be 0. You know this. This is your tends to 0. Look here, the circuit diagram of a voltage to current converter with a floating load is shown in figure. Your load is not grounded. Okay. Now here I want to prove that the current passing to the load, this current passing to the load is IL proportional to the what? Input voltage, and that IL, this IL does not depend upon Z. That is the important thing that I want to show. So current passing to the load depends upon input current. Input voltage means IL proportional to VI. What should I? IL proportional to VI. I should have VI, and IL does not depend upon the Z. That both I want to show this. So look here, IL proportional to VI, that I want to show. Due to infinite input resistance, this is only what you have to understand. Due to infinite input impedance, this does not draw any current. This does not draw any current. Due to infinite input impedance of the op-amp, this does not draw any current. Second, due to infinite value of the open loop gain of the op-amp, the voltage drop between these two tends to 0. Voltage drop between this and this, voltage drop between the inverting and non-inverting terminal is very, very less, tends to 0, or you can say 0. Due to, but this is your resistance as a high, very infinite. So infinite resistance, so this potential and this potential is same. Both the potential is same. This potential is the same as the VI. So I can say differential input voltage between the two terminal of the op-amp tends to 0. Okay. So I can, here some voltage is developed due to current. So here I can write here the VD is equal to 0, or I can write V1 minus VI is equal to 0, or I can write V1 is equal to VI. What is V1? V1 is nothing but a current multiplied by resistor is equal to VI. So output current IL is equal to V1 upon R. So this load current depends upon the proportional input voltage. R is fixed. This R is fixed here. So as you change the voltage, your load current change. Suppose I say my R is 1 kilo ohm and input is 1 volt. So clear cut, my load current is 1 milliampere. It means IL. Suppose now I am giving R is 1 kilo ohm. Suppose I am VI is equal to 2 volt. So what is your IL? IL is 2 milliampere. In short, I can say IL proportional to VI. So your load current depends upon the input voltage, or load current proportional to the VI input. It does not depend upon the ZL. You can see from this equation. And so this circuit is used for AC/DC voltmeter and Zener test circuit also. I think it's very clear understanding about voltage to current converter with a floating load. Next time I will discuss the voltage to current converter with grounded load.